Hey, Laura.
When I'm in go mode, you don't know where to reach right now, probably don't need that.
You have my sit right here. Do you want to sell John?
Oh, no, you're fine. Yes.
So I think I'm going to end up talking to the just to get it.
Just my colleague who's going to be holding back the front for this week. You guys can keep talking, just. I don't have the call from the senator's office. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, so I think that was. So before lunch, we're introducing myself. He's been in Newark before that.
Yeah, that's where it started. Grade 3 class. No, I still live in Newark. I back in 2003. Well, I'm still in the year. I live in West Newark, so yeah. So it's I have so we do like a year mentoring. All the students teach our program. Many of them go off to be teachers, and I was meeting with students for teaching this year. She just wrapped up her she's yeah. But when I met with her, it was amazing. She did this in 2003. She was like, "Oh, that's the year I was born." It's like, well, this is humbling.
Yeah, there's that.
Good. They got all the stuff.
Did you teach it?
Somebody has to do it. It is a small world. I grew up in Melbourne, Tornills. I meant to mention I drive. So my parents still live there. New Jersey was a lovely place to grow up, and a path towards public policy brought me to DC for college, and I've been here ever since. American University. I think, so I went there undergrad, and then I did my public policy master's at Georgetown. So I wanted to sit down for you.
Sorry.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're so excited to have all of you. People come from near and far. My name is Dworkin. I'm the CEO of the National Summer Learning Association. It is the midpoint of the summer. It is July 15th. It is 150 degrees outside. So we're wise to be in here, but we're still thinking about what could be the power and potential of summer. Now, you can see to my left, we are very honored to have Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut here, who is a huge leader on the issue of creating a new bill that he's just reintroduced called Summer for All, and we're going to hear about it. I just want to say thank you to the Senator for his leadership. He's been working for years with him and the staff. He's been working closely with NSLA and many partners in this room about how do we give great summer experiences, opportunities to every kid in America and not just some. And he's been working going back to COVID. When American Rescue Plan dollars were being allotted, he spoke up and said, hey, we got to make sure some of this money gets to the community organizations and gets to the kids and the families who need it most. And he worked really hard. And then this has been a follow-up on that. How do we make sure that there is money, there's financial and federal support for community organizations working closely with schools and the families, but most importantly to the kids. So thank you, Senator Murphy, for your leadership. Welcome. We'd love to have a few remarks from you.
Great, appreciate it. Thanks, Well, good afternoon, everyone. Looks like you have a great panel ahead of you. I'm on my way to the airport, but I wanted to welcome you and thank you for being here to speak up on behalf of our kids and our families. It's true, I really got involved in this issue during the pandemic. I have two teenagers right now. One of them is at a summer camp program, a day camp, as we speak right now, suffering through the temperatures in Washington, D.C. But I remember thinking about sort of what we were going to do for our kids that first summer after a year of unexpected, very difficult remote learning. And there was a lot of discussion, certainly in our school district, but throughout the country, about learning loss and having to really plow these kids back into the classroom for the summer to try to make up for what we lost during that year. And, my kids at the time, were probably, 14 and 10. I started thinking, like, what would they say if I told them that after this incredibly disruptive, incredibly difficult year of staring at a screen all day, that they were going to spend the summer back in school? And I realized that they would run away from home because they had lost not a year of learning, they had lost a year of learning, right? A year of learning how to be a friend, about how to make a friend, about how to overcome adversity. And what they wanted, what they needed was socialization and just moral uplift. And yes, a lot of that happens at traditional school environments, but that's supersized at summer camps, at sleepaway and day camp experiences. And so I went to my colleagues as we were building the Recovery Act in early 2021, and I said, listen, we're going to spend all this money on education. We have to segment part of it for the 3 months of the year when the kids aren't going to be in the schools. And so we were able to segment off not enough money, but $1 billion. That's not nothing for summer programming. And a lot of states like mine stepped up and put state money to match it. In Connecticut, we ran a really great program where we all over the state were able to expand the number of slots in that summer. The next summer, the summer after that, we were able to discount fees and tuition for our families. But like many other good things in that bill, it was all temporary. And so the question is, how do we make that commitment of year-long learning and of really well-rounded summer experiences universal? And that's what the Summer for All Act is all about. A heavy lift right now. I just obviously what you're getting into here. But it really is important to make the case because you will find willing ears, open ears on both sides of the aisle. Maybe, you're not going to get Republicans to put pen to paper and add their name to the bill, but they know the value of summer experiences because either they know it personally or their kids are benefiting from it. And the statistics, which you have in hand, are just heralding, right? That there is this enormous gap between families of means and families without means when it comes to whether you have a summer experience or not. I tell the story of my neighborhood I could talk about this all day. I talk about my neighborhood. So I live in the south end of Hartford, one of the more violence-prone neighborhoods in the state. And there are tons of kids in my neighborhood, but if you drive around my neighborhood during the summer, on a Tuesday afternoon, you won't see any kids because they're inside, because their parents don't think that it's safe for them to just walk outside to the playground. Their parents aren't there during the day. And so they're certainly not going to let their kids just walk out the door in the south end of Hartford. So not only do the kids in my neighborhood, and my neighborhood has one of the lowest average incomes in the state, not only are these kids not in summer programs, they're not even outside at all. They are just sitting inside, largely on devices all summer, not just learning, losing what they learned during the year, but retreating into isolation and depression and stuff that is really hard to spin yourself out of once the school doors magically open again in September. And so what we're saying here is that that fate, being locked in your house for the summer with a screen to take care of you, should not exist in the richest, most powerful country in the world. But frankly, this bill and this issue isn't just about the lowest income families. It's also about a lot of families that are making a decent income that just look at the bills right now and can't figure it out. We have plenty of money in my house, but my wife literally just texted me yesterday and said, our younger son has a gap week, and I'm not going to be able to be home, and so why don't we just put him in this flag football program that he loves for $575, right? And that's something we can afford, but 35% of families, 1/3 of families in this country, don't have $500 in the bank at all. Like, it's not like they can't plan for that. It's like they don't have $500 in the bank. That's 1/3 of families don't have that much money saved in the bank and in liquid funds at any one given time. So this effort that you're engaged in to try to open up more opportunities, to try to make people understand that if we're going to spend billions of dollars subsidizing kids' experiences from September to May or June, why don't we spend a little bit of money trying to make sure that we have more equal access during the year? It's really, really heroic work. And since I've gotten involved in this issue here in Congress, with Aaron's help and others, I've just kind of gone back to camps. So I get to spend part of my summer visiting camps around Connecticut. We were at Camp Current. I don't remember within the last year, maybe it was the end of the last summer. I was just at Camp Sloper in Southington, Connecticut 2 weeks ago. I get to see now the miracles that happen. And I don't want to overhype what you're going to be able to do. We're not going to get this bill passed this year, but it's a pretty new piece of legislation. It's an opportunity, given what we did during COVID, to explain the benefit of matching some federal dollars with state efforts and with private and philanthropic dollars. We really can move the needle significantly on how people think about year-long learning during your visit here. And that's why I, being so grateful for your voice, there's really nothing I can do that's equal to your ability to tell these kids and these family stories personally. It's why I wanted to be here, to open up your session, to thank you for being here, and to offer myself and my office as partners in any way possible. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Murphy. We're very fortunate to have him as a leader on this issue, and we can build around him. And later today, I hope, or I expect at least Senator Andy Kim of New Jersey is going to be joining us too. So it's growing. We're making this partnership, and we're building our coalition, and we're making it larger by the day. So thank you. We're going to have a great panel. I'm just going to say a few words, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ali Talcott, who leads our policy and advocacy work for the National Summer Learning Association. We have a very distinguished panel of educators and leaders and community leaders who are going to share what the power and the potential of summer is from their perspective and their organizations. So again, I'm just going to build on what the senator just shared and just do a couple of points about framing here. So like we say, summer is not just a season. You all know this. It's a solution. It's a solution to so many challenges facing kids, facing families, communities, and even in our whole country. And so the reason it's worth investing in this is so we can push the needle forward. As he talked about this Gallup research, which we're going to reference, but a couple of years ago, and there's been more research since, but 2 years ago, NSLA, the American Camp Association, commissioned the Gallup company, and they did a whole national survey about how many kids are in America who are in summer programs and how many still want to be and are not able to. And the numbers, we could share these reports, but basically it came out that 2 years ago, about 30 million kids, kindergarten through 12th grade, were in some kind of supervised and structured summer program. But of that, as he mentioned, 2/3, 20 million, were able to pay out of pocket. And only 1/3, 10 million, were qualified for free and reduced lunch. So, but here's what's exciting: to close that gap. To close that gap is very possible, not for one group by ourselves, but collectively. When you add up the reach and the strength and the expertise and the power of all the groups in the Summer Learning Association coalition here, we can actually add millions more kids and close that gap. We think that's achievable, we think it's solvable, and we think it's critical. So just to say a few words again about NSLA, if this is new for you. So we've been around for more than 30 years. We are an organization that started originally at Johns Hopkins University with some original research about summer slide and summer learning loss. We heard that, but we've morphed, and what we've morphed into is this very varied coalition of school districts, like we have from Newark Public Schools, Dr. Bello right there here today, and nonprofit groups like Breakthrough and Save the Children. Some who work with urban students, some work with rural students, and then you get into summer youth employment and workforce opportunities and philanthropy, like we'll hear from SHRM Foundation, who focus on some of those issues, and we engage the business community. So we're bringing all the sectors together, all the different silos of education and youth development together, who sometimes it's hard, they want to partner, but it's hard to. But in the summer, there's a chance to do that. So when we bring them all together, what are we trying to do to support them, to move the needle? Just so you know, so you can follow up with our team later, we support around program quality. So it's not enough just to be in a program. The program has to be good if you want to move the needle towards your academic goals. And Broderick Clark, who leads our training department, and some of our professional learning community leaders here are here to help all the programs in our network, which is almost 35,000 programs, with anything they have questions about. And it gets into research, and it gets into national awards. 3 of the 4 panelists here have won our national awards. That's why they're panelists. We have a very rigorous process to find the best programs, not just to honor them, but to learn from them and to share them with others who might be starting out. We have more, I see Lisa Gittleson from the Fresh Air Fund, and there are others here who have won that award in the past. So thank you for being here. So in addition to program quality, about building partnerships, during the year we have 12 different professional learning communities that bring all these different groups together so people don't feel so alone and share best practices, share worst practices. How about that? A lot of mistakes. We always say we want to learn from mistakes. We got to talk about them. So then, we do that. We also work on public awareness. Our team right now, this week, just started, if you around the country, you might see it on your way home, a billboard campaign promoting summer programs, encouraging parents to sign their kids up, going to a website called discoversummer.org. It has almost 50,000 programs listed. So if you're not on there, please get on there. But by the way, the people in the billboard campaign, Idina Menzel, the Broadway star from Frozen and Wicked, she has a summer program, free program called Broader Way. DMC from Run DMC, Darwin Daniels, he's got a summer program, Camp Felix. And so they lent their image and their platform to promote what we're all doing. So I'm just telling you this, we have so many allies who want to help us. So we got the public awareness, we got the program quality, we get into policy work, that's why we're here, and then we invest in people. So you're here today. If you're around November 9th through 11th, we're going to invite every one of you back. Our next national conference is going to be back here in Washington. It'll be a week after the midterms. It'll be really important that you come, and we'll have hundreds more leaders like you there. So, but let's just to wrap it up, what is this really all about? So when you think about summer, all of us, yes, it's a solution, but really what it comes down to, and I always joke, my title is CEO, but the thing that's most important about summer is the exact opposite of my title. It's the OEC. And you know what that stands for? The O stands for opportunity. We talked about it. This is an opportunity that millions of kids get in the summer to grow and learn and thrive and be safe, but still millions of kids do not. And what will determine whether or not kids get that opportunity or not, that's our choice. So I'll just share on the opportunity, just so you know, it could be an opportunity for good, or it could be for an opportunity for bad. And he was referring to it at the center, but hunger is at its highest during the summer for kids if you're not in a program. You don't eat, your childhood hunger. Juvenile crime spikes in the summer. And emergency room visits for kids at its highest. If you're in a program, none of those things are happening. All those trends are reversed, and you benefit from all the different wonderful experiences you're going to get. So that's on the O. The E is about education, and a broader, he just went like this, learning. We're learning. It's like education has a lot of ways, can take a lot of form, a lot of shape, and take place in a lot of different places. Education is what we're all providing, and it's not just it's math and reading for sure and STEM, but it could be arts, it could be sports, it could be music, it could be leadership, learning community service, all these things that you provide. So we're great at that. It's not just great for kids, it's also great for adults. So when you think about it, in summer for the education, every summer program doubles up as a form of staff training. We'll hear Vince's model of breakthrough. And so the students are learning, your staff are learning. What they learn, they carry back into the school year. And I'll just share, when we think about the amount of time, if you add up the 3 months in a young person's life before kindergarten every year until their last internship before college, that's another more than 5 school years worth of education time that you can add to someone's life before they go into the workforce. So that's a serious investment. We need to take advantage of that. And the last is about, and this way C stands for community. And that is a special sauce. So we're running around the country right now. Broderick, our whole team, we're doing our thing called 50 programs in 50 days. We're visiting all these programs, and plus we give out the national awards, so we have to visit them. And if you visit any kind of program, whether it's a STEM program or a math core program or a dance program or a debate program, and you say, what's the special sauce? What gets everyone to want to come back? They say, we build community. Every kid is known, every staff feels known, everyone knows each other, they love each other, they're motivated to come back and support each other. The kids want to then be the staff and come back. And listen, in our country, we just celebrated our 250th anniversary. One of the things that came up in all that discussion is about community, how great it is that we have community. You can't take that for granted. We need people to practice that, to learn that. Summer programs are a place to do that. And now that people are talking about place-based community investment, which we support, we would just argue that summer is your best chance as a proof point and a starting point. You want everyone in your community to work together, do it as a summer program first, and then let those partnerships grow. So investing in education, investing in opportunity, investing in community, that's what we're doing through all these summer programs. The Summer for All Act will help us do it even better at a bigger scale. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your leadership, and we're here to partner with you. Look forward to the panel, and I will welcome Allie to facilitate.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm Allie Talcott. I'm the founder of Allied for Progress, and I'm honored to moderate today's conversation on behalf of NSLA. Today's briefing marks the reintroduction of the Summer for All Act, which we've now heard various pieces and stories of how it's all come together, but today we'll give you a little bit of a history lesson and then some context setting about the bill. So the Summer for All Act, as you know, is being introduced by Senators Murphy and Kim, and the briefing is an opportunity to focus on a straightforward but urgent policy challenge. Too many children and young people lack access to high-quality summer opportunities, while existing federal funding structures do not adequately meet that need. Right now, there is no dedicated funding stream supporting summer programs directly. The 21st Century Community Learning Centers is an incredibly important federal program that supports summer and after-school programs, but many independent summer programs are ineligible for those dollars due to strict year-round funding and long-term requirements. There's the Student Support and Academic Enrichment Grant Programs, which allows districts to invest in summer programs, but again, summer programs are not directly eligible for that funding. There is a significant gap between what families need, what providers can deliver, and what federal policy currently supports. That gap is especially important for community-based organizations, or CBOs, which are often deeply embedded in the communities that they are serving and are well-positioned to provide high-quality, responsive summer programming. We have seen that when these organizations access resources directly, they can expand opportunity, strengthen partnerships, and deliver real results for young people. When I started representing NSLA in March of 2020, the pandemic had just hit and Congress was contemplating the COVID relief bills. In the first COVID relief bill, I worked on behalf of NSLA to ensure the words summer learning were next to all of the other allowable uses that districts could spend money on. But that was not enough. At the time, districts needed every single penny of those dollars, and community-based organizations were being left out of a major opportunity to provide critical services to families during the extended summer. More funds were needed, and community-based organizations needed to be eligible to receive those funds directly. That is why NSLA worked so closely with Senator Murphy's office to ensure that in the second COVID relief package, which of course Senator Murphy and Aaron talked about, CBOs were actually directly eligible to receive those dollars. What happened next is billions of dollars went to the field, and it became our single biggest proof point that for the Summer for All Act and for summer, that when states were given those dollars, they didn't just result in the traditional classroom remediation. They actively partnered with community-based organizations to provide summer programming. Dozens of states used competitive grants to channel funds directly to YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs, and other local community-based organizations. In Georgia, the state network funded local CBOs to expand holistic youth programs statewide. In Washington, D.C. and in New Mexico, funds went directly to community partners to run paid summer internships, environmental programs, sports camps, and other holistic programs. In Alabama, state leaders paired federal funds with their state funds to establish intensive evidence-based summer reading camps. The result? Alabama became one of just 2 states nationwide to exceed pre-pandemic reading scores on the 4th grade NAEP, proving that structured summer investments directly accelerate student recovery. When federal dollars reach community partners, the return on the investment is immediate. These partnerships prove that when CBOs get the resources directly, they don't just fill seats. They deliver academic achievement, career exposure, nutrition, mental and physical health, and so much more. But the support that CBOs relied on to serve more families came to an abrupt end when the ESSER cliff finally came to an end and all of those dollars dried up. The Summer for All Act simply takes what we know works and makes it permanent. The legislation would provide $4 billion over 4 years for 2 separate grant programs to support summer programs, a state grant program and a competitive grant program that would give money directly to community-based organizations. The grants would target funding to programs that support low-income families, operate in rural areas, and those that serve at-risk youth. In addition to ensuring funds go to the communities most in need, the bill also provides support for transportation, summer meals, solving for many of the toughest challenges for families during those rough summer months. The bill encourages strong partnerships with libraries, parks and rec centers, museums, and other local organizations doing amazing work on behalf of our youth. It prioritizes funding for programs that support youth well-being, workforce readiness, mentoring, academic enrichment, and ensuring kids are in safe, healthy, and fun places during the summer months. All in all, this legislation would ensure that millions of more kids have access to the kinds of summer programs that Senator Murphy and Aaron were just talking about, the kind that all of our kids in this country deserve. Today's panel is designed to ground that policy and conversation into practice. You'll hear from leaders working across different models and communities about what summer programming looks like on the ground, what outcomes it makes possible, and how partnerships with schools and districts can work effectively, and why more intentional federal support is needed and desperately matters. We're grateful to all of our panelists for sharing their time and your expertise, and we're especially grateful to the congressional staff, the partners in this room, and the stakeholders joining us today. We hope that this conversation is as useful as you think about the role that the federal government can play in policy that expands access to high quality summer opportunities for young people and families. With that, I'd love to give our panelists a warm welcome and a round of applause. So we're so excited to have you all here. I know you have so much unique perspective to share with us, and I think I'll take a point of order and just say we're gonna go like 5 to 10 minutes late since we started a bit late. So with that, why don't we start by each of you taking a few minutes to introduce yourselves, your organization, your program, and the communities that you serve.
I can. Hi, everyone. Vince Marigna. I am the national CEO of Breakthrough Collaborative, and I'll share a little bit about Breakthrough. But before I do, I just want to share a little bit about myself. So I'm a former educator. I actually got my start as a high school English teacher with Newark Public Schools. I was just sharing with Dr. Bello. But I'm also a father. I'm a father to an elementary student, a young woman who is in her 4th summer of summer camp at YMCA. And I see firsthand the benefit, the value that she has. You know, she just wrapped up an intense, rigorous 3rd grade year. For those who don't know, that's the testing year in New Jersey. And so there's just a lot going on in a 3rd grader's mind. And the fact that we get to drop her off at 8:30 in the morning and to know that she's going to be in an environment where she can explore safely, build deep connections and relationships that go beyond that camp, but into the community. And it's also a place for her to restart, right? And rebuild her confidence and prepare for the upcoming academic year. So I've seen it both as an educator, the benefit and the value of summer programming, but I'm seeing it firsthand as a parent and just the importance of this work. As it relates to Breakthrough, we are a national network of 25 affiliates, 43 sites across the country. We currently operate in 17 states. We work with around 11,000 students each summer over the course of 6 summers in our tuition-free summer programming. And really at the heart of our programming is a near-peer mentoring model where we recruit 1,100 college students who come and they work with our students in small group cohorts throughout the 6 weeks of the summer to really support our students with 2 major objectives. The first is a focus on academic readiness through a morning that is academically rigorous in preparation, and with the North Star being ensuring that our kids are college ready. But then the second is around enrichment, where we're working on helping to build those, some folks refer to them as the non-cognitive skills, right? The human skills, the interpersonal skills, so that they not only are academically prepared for college, but feel like they belong and that they're ready when they get there. As a result of our work, 67% of our students are securing a 6 or a 4-year college degree. And when you compare that to students from low-income backgrounds, which is around 15%, it's really proving the importance of this opportunities that our students are having. And then also as a result on the college student side, we're also exposing them to careers in education, with more than half of our teaching fellows going on to become teachers themselves, with only 18% of them being education majors. And so our program has a dual impact. We refer to it as a dual impact model, where kids get to come every day, learn, be themselves, be around folks who share similar backgrounds as them, where they can actually see that college is possible for them. The final thing I'll just share, and I'll pass it on, is that, you know, as a former educator, summer slide is real. And I see it even in my child. She has 2 educators as parents, right? You know, it's very real, the lost time. And so what we are able to do is ultimately reverse summer slide. So our students, 80%, last summer, 80% of our students met or exceeded grade level in reading and 74% in math. And so we're excited to continue to do this work because we see the value and the benefit that it has to our students and the communities that we serve.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you for inviting SHRM and SHRM Foundation to be here this afternoon. I'm glad you started with a personal story because I'd like to share a brief one with you all as well. I'm really fortunate my name is Wendi Safstrom, by the way. I'm the president of the SHRM Foundation. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that acronym, stands for the Society for Human Resource Management. Prior to coming to the foundation about 9 years ago, before I worked for trade associations and their respective foundations, I was an HR professional. And I'm not a mom, but I think I'm a really killer aunt. And the love of my life is a 14-year-old girl. Her name is Kit, and she lives in St. Louis. My sister is a single mom. She's got a big job, and she is really the primary care provider for my niece, who has overcome, even through COVID, knock wood, a tremendous learning disability, dyslexia. She's mastered that. She's come through that. She's at an age where she's not ready to go to work, but my sister needs to keep her occupied. And my sister's fortunate to have the financial resources to enroll Kit in programs and camps because my sister works obviously through the summer and she needs to keep her motivated and moving, as she said, to avoid that summer slide. But she started talking about what are we going to have Kit do this summer, last Christmas, right, over the holidays. And that is something, again, kind of unfamiliar to me. But I think in our role as representing the employer community, I think to be good community partners, be good corporate citizens, we have an opportunity, and I often say an obligation, to be stellar partners to support the kids in our communities. And not only are you supporting the kids in our communities, but you're supporting the parents who are responsible for the kids in those communities, or the caretakers who are often have to take their minds off the work that's at hand because they have other things in their lives that they have to pay attention to. So with that being said, again, really an honor for us to be here this afternoon, myself and my colleague, Mitch Taylor. Just really a little bit about the SHRM and SHRM Foundation. SHRM represents nearly 340,000 members globally. We impact 362 million workers and their families worldwide. We also have a network of more than, all these statistics, 556 affiliated chapters. We've got 51 state councils across 50 states and U.S. territories. We have sector agnostic members. We've got individuals who belong to SHRM who are members of hundreds of industry sectors. The top 3 sectors that we represent today are largely the service industry, manufacturing, and healthcare, and they span employers of every size and industry, again, as I said, creating what we think is a really amazing infrastructure that can connect education leaders, that can connect workforce systems and employers at scale. So through our network of professionals and affiliate leaders and employer partners, we bring real-time workforce insight. We bring opportunities to provide employer expertise and talent development strategies directly into education and workforce readiness efforts. So that's a bit about SHRM. We'll talk a little bit more about where our efforts lie. As I mentioned, I run the foundation. We're the philanthropic 501c3 workforce development affiliate of SHRM, working in partnership with our team and our members of SHRM to really bring opportunities to kids, not for their first job necessarily, but to bring them and get them exposure to the world of work. We think we present a tremendous opportunity to get kids familiar, not only with the technical skills that come with joining different industry sectors and getting involved in jobs, but what I think is even more important, and I would think most of you agree, that durable skills, depending on who you are, what you call them, durable skills, power skills, workforce readiness skills, skills that you need to have at any age, at any level, as an employee, and irrespective of industry sectors. This is an opportunity for HR professionals to get involved in that mix and help students continue to maintain that momentum and avoid that summer slide. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. Thanks again for having us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Julianne Bello, and I am the Director of the Office of Extended Learning for the Newark Board of Education. And as my fellow panelists started with a personal story, I'd like to make it personal for you. So if you will, teleport with me to Newark, New Jersey. The Newark Board of Education is the largest school district in the state of New Jersey, and looking at the clock right now, here's what's happening in our school district right now. So thousands of high school students have concluded an exciting day of summer programming, whether they were doing accelerated coursework or career and technical education. And some of our high school students are still working because they are participating in our Future Business Leaders program, which puts them in exactly what you were describing, work-based learning opportunities where they get to develop those soft skills so that they can contribute to the workforce. Now, across the district, over 600 of our pre-K babies enjoyed a full day of kindergarten boot camp, getting ready for all of those things that they need to be successful in kindergarten next year. We had students in 2 high school locations, grades 4 through 12, enjoying sports skills and development, which we know sometimes our colleagues in more affluent communities are able to provide out of pocket, but our sports camps make sure that children are active, healthy, and collaborating across grade levels. And in 15 locations across the city, elementary students enjoyed a rigorous morning of ELA and math instruction and are now enjoying enrichment programming, learning how to bowl, how to play tennis, sitting across a chessboard from a colleague. And they're safe, there with teachers, certified teachers who know them and have relationships with them. They'll have a dinner meal, and they're having the time of their lives for summer. And what does that all amount to, right? That is upholding the district's vision of providing a world-class educational ecosystem for every child in Newark. So what would I like you to know about Newark? Well, it's the largest school district in New Jersey. We have 66 school buildings right now, 43 elementary, 2 specialized schools, and 19 high schools, with over 7,000 employees and a student population of over 41,000 children. It's the oldest in the country. New Jersey is one of the oldest in the country, and its origin, our Barringer High School is one of the oldest in the country in the North Ward. The ethnic diversity of the community and the city just provides a rich tapestry of languages and culture, and it's a great place to be. Our school district serves students in grades pre-K through 12. And we're at a point now in 2026, right, where our superintendent and his vision within our amazing 10-year strategic plan is bearing the fruits of planning and hard work and labor after 25 years of being under state control, right? And so Newark is seeing the benefits of all that investment in their students, in the development of teachers, and in the achievement of that vision. And so I want to convey to you that, you know, on a day like today, when we've talked about how hot it is, right? I have a smile on my face knowing that how many miles away in Newark, New Jersey, all of those children had an amazing day of summer learning, of summer enrichment, of being safe, of being with teachers that they love. And that's a good thing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Adam Taube. I work with Save the Children. Save the Children has been providing programs for decades around the world, addressing child safeguarding, health, education. I personally work for Save the Children's U.S. Program Division, and we've been providing evidence-based summer programming for over 15 years for children's grade K through 6 across the country, with a focus on rural communities. These summer programs serve as an extension of our out-of-school time after-school model that blends academic and enrichment activities to give a holistic summer experience aimed at fighting summer learning loss. We specifically target children most at risk of falling behind their peers as evaluated by formal assessment or teacher recommendation. Looking at our last summer of programming, 57% were not proficient in reading at the start of the summer. And that was across 45 school sites, across 8 states in the continental US, and just under 2,000 children. Under our model, we work with school administrators to run a flexible summer program model based on the localized needs of the community. The Summer Boost program includes options for literacy, math, STEM, enrichment that engage kids in hands-on learning, problem solving, and fostering social interactions. All versions of that Summer Boost program include a healthy choices component aimed at teaching basic nutrition lessons and physical activity as a way to get kids moving. And it also comes with a meal. You know, we had talked earlier about summer being a time of heightened hunger, and this Summer Boost program really provides necessary nutrition to children who live in food deserts in rural areas. Our literacy component was recently refined to align with the science of reading. Our math workshops engage children in discussions and basic fact fluency, but really our program stands out in its community service, enrichment, and STEM components that try to provide this holistic model to engage children in what matters most and what they're missing during the summer. Overall, our camps tend to run for around 20 days, 4 to 5 days a week, and most children attend at least 15 of those days, about 70% do. We measure their impact at the start and the end of the program to make sure that We're holding ourselves accountable for impact, and over half of the students maintain or improve their reading scores, not counting the students who attend. And we don't know how worse off it would have been if not for our program's intervention. It really is an effort that I see our local implementers give their all in, engaging families, working with the community to address local need, and focus on the sort of opportunity gap that exists in rural America for students to access summer programming. I am a newer parent. My son will be 1 year old in just a couple weeks. So he's not worried about summer programming just yet, but these are, still necessary issues that I hope we can address now so he has access in the years to come. Thanks so much.
Thank you all. So what you all just described is exactly why you all are award-winning NSLA programs, because you all just described what high-quality summer programming looks like on the ground. I have a 3.5-year-old who misses the cutoff, so he's got an extra year before he goes to kindergarten, and I am dreading the putting the 18 million camps together week by week in a few years, and hope that there are more affordable like summer programs in my area that won't break the bank for so many, and it's just very unattainable for so many of us. So I think what I want to talk about is, what does the summer programming make possible that is not possible in the school year? And I think the Gallup and NSLA research highlights this stark disparity of 70% of children are accessing summer enrichment in non-school buildings, but higher income families are participating at a much higher rate as the lower income families. And so summer is really a time where that summer slide happens and those disparities widen. But it's also a place and a time where we have the freedom to innovate and to provide for students and children in a way that the school year doesn't. So can you all talk a little bit about what the summer space makes possible for young people and families that the traditional school year alone doesn't? No particular order.
I can jump in real quick. To go back to one thing that you just shared earlier, Allie, is this notion, for us anyway, it's tuition free, right? Yeah. So the barrier to entry is removed for families who want to provide opportunities for their kids. And for us, it's not, in our case, in our house, the fair starts in January, where they start shopping different camps across the town. And for us, because we're working with our kids for 6 summers, it's just a return to family over the course of summer. So there's this long-term commitment. So I would say tuition free is important. And then the long-term relationship that you cultivate with students and families is really important. But what summer for our students, what it provides for them is an opportunity to frankly build their confidence, both in terms of how they show up as leaders, as individuals, but also their academic confidence. So we're working with kids in small group cohorts of anywhere from 8 to 10 with a college age student. So if you think about it, it's a big brother or a big sister or a cousin who's gone off to college. I feel a little bit safe with you. I can be vulnerable and say, I don't get this concept, and you're going to be there with me to work this concept out. And that not only helps you understand the concept itself, but it also teaches you self-advocacy, because you built some at-bats to raise your hand and say, I don't understand. And you're met with a warm adult who's there to help you. And then that translates really well when they go back to school. So I would say it's that space to really be vulnerable in that smaller setting, lower stakes, with someone who's not that much far along than you are, but shows you what's possible for yourself.
When I think about what summer allows our students to do, it gives them an in-depth, concentrated opportunity to do things that during the school year you just can't. And so I think about the duration of our programming, which is 25 days, and how, for example, high school students are able to do internships within various career readiness fields and just focus on that, right? whether they're able to be part of things like our Newark Montclair State Red Hawk Rising Teacher Academy, where students who have an interest in education go and spend this entire 25-day experience just living that life, which I think it gives them the ability to project themselves into that. This is what I could be doing forever. It gives gives us the opportunity to bring in things that we can't find space for during the year. Additionally, when students are in enrichment programs and they have, like you mentioned, the ability to just stretch, right? To be able to try something, to be exposed to something new. And I think that particularly in Newark, where we use a feeder pattern system, so students are interacting with students from other schools, it's building community within the city itself across elementary schools. We partner with various community organizations, so they're in the buildings with us. And I think it gives the students a sense of what their larger community is about and makes them feel attached to that in a way that is just more intense that we're able to do during the school year.
I was going to say that I think summer, kind of similar to what you said, that summer creates opportunities that the traditional school year doesn't necessarily allow for in terms of time. It allows for an opportunity to be a little bit more flexible, to help young people really explore careers, to connect with mentors, to connect with adults and other workers that they may not have the chance to engage or interact with while they're in school. There's opportunities with the right employer partners to participate in internships and job shadowing, service learning, and other really work-based learning programs to build, again, coming back to those durable skills, things like communication, collaboration, critical thinking, adaptability, and resilience. All of those skill sets that are so critically important, whether you're in a classroom, whether you're beginning your journey in the world of work, and again, irrespective of the kind of job or career that you pursue. So the more opportunities we have as an employer partner to help students practice those critical skills, I think the better, the stronger we'll be from a talent perspective as a country, and it's better for our economy certainly into the future as well.
Yeah, I mean, echoing what's been said, summer both doesn't have to be a time where you forget all that you've accomplished during the school year, but it also doesn't have to mirror that classroom setting to be a place where you learn new skills and have new experiences. I mean, the summer programs also help to catch children who are at risk of falling behind. I mean, when we talk about summer learning loss, it gets me thinking about growth trajectories that students who have students who are further behind have to have more to make up to reset their growth trajectory to be on grade level with their peers, as opposed to ones who you provide that support during the summer, adjust their growth trajectory early, and realign them with where they should be at grade level when intervention is easiest.
Awesome.
I wanted to just add
Yeah,
something to
please.
that, because I think beyond the dimension of what the school year alone cannot do, it's what summer sets students up to do during the school year, right? So I think you really hit it on the head that if we're avoiding summer slide, how are children going into school in September, ready to go, not losing any momentum, right? And as adults, we know what happens if you're on a diet for 10 months and then take 2 months off, right? Or you go to the gym for 10 months, right? So I think it's a common sense piece that we need to keep our students thinking and learning and interacting and being social, so that when they hit that formalized school in September, they're still moving, they still have that momentum and are able to make greater gains quicker.
So I want to talk a little bit about resources, because I assume it takes a great deal of resources to provide these critical services. And one of the things that we saw is that when there were dedicated resources in the field, program providers were able to serve more kids. There were academic gains, kids were healthy, more meals were served. And then the ESSER cliff came, right? Those COVID relief dollars dried up, and there have not been renewed resources dedicated solely to community-based organizations providing these programs. And so we have now endured 2 years since that cliff. We have already heard reports in the field that folks are serving less kids. They've had to let go of staff. And so we are back in that shrinking mode. part of what the Summer for All bill would do is provide direct resources through the states and through competitive grants, as I mentioned. Can you all talk a little bit about, and I will say I agree with Senator Murphy, the bill is not going to pass this year, next year, but it will pass because I'm an eternal optimist. So we will be doing this work until it passes. But if the field were to receive critical resources like you all did in COVID times, can you talk about what it would make possible for your organizations and what that looks like?
I mean, I can say that it would certainly allow us to reach more rural communities. I mentioned we operate across 8 states for our summer programs, but an additional 2 states, we have a pretty strong program presence in our school-age programs during the school year. A lot of those program sites are funded through 21st Century Foundation, and it allows us to do really meaningful work. But under that funding model, summer programming is frequently treated as an add-on to the school year rather than the primary focus of grant funds. So, I mean, the limitation isn't the program design and knowing it's effective, it's the funds to operate these summer programs in the places that need it and have expressed to us that they would like us there.
And I would say too, because we talked to some of our HR professionals, I talked to them actually, I was at a big conference here in Washington yesterday, and talking with them about summer learning and what that means and how HR professionals could provide opportunities for youth during the summertime or during the school year, if the time permits, and what would be preventing or maybe give employers pause to participate. And we have an initiative actually at SHRM called the Employment to Education our E-Squared initiative, and that's really helping be part of the solution and building that pipeline from education all the way through to employment. And here's what some of the folks told me. Some of the employers indicated that help de-risking hiring and training for employers by helping subsidize some of the costs, simplifying recruiting, and providing built-in support structures would be incredibly important. Some of the funding could be helpful to employers to support intermediary in organizations that recruit students, that could help coordinate logistics and handle more of the administrative aspects of these kinds of programs. Funding could support student stipends on wages or help to reduce employer costs. It would be very helpful to have program coordinators who help manage scheduling and communication and compliance issues. Incredibly important to have assistance with curriculum and project development so employers can kind of plug into ready-made activities. That may sound like the employer doesn't want any role in making any of that happen, but I'm just suggesting the more we can have plug and play for employers who are really interested and committed to making these programs work for kids and ultimately for their communities, the better. You'll have a coalition of the willing. We have to come together to make it as easy as possible for employers to jump in and take over.
I'm going to do a brief pause, as I mentioned. So we do see that the senator is here. So I'm going to take a brief pause with the panel, and then I'm actually going to call up NSLA's board chair, Jim Quinn, to introduce the senator.
I don't mean to disrupt.
We're not sure what your time schedule is, but yeah, we're great. And then you can listen in.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
You're not disrupting. You're key to the program, Senator. Yes, I'm Jim Quinn. I'm a longstanding member of the board of NSLA, and I've served as chairman these last 7 years. This is a very special day with a very special panel and a very special group of people. And we are bringing a spotlight, I think, to a fundamental truth. And that summers simply shouldn't be a gap in children's development. It should be a launch pad. But for too many families across our country, high quality summer camps, enrichment programs, and regular nutritious meals are simply a luxury, something they simply can't afford. So our next guest, United States Senator Andy Kim, believes deeply and personally that a child's zip code or their family circumstances should never determine their opportunity to learn, to play, and to grow. And I know he's a dad of 2 young boys, so he knows firsthand the pure joy of hearing a child share the adventures of a summer day. As a member of the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, he's turned that personal understanding into powerful legislative action. Senator Kim is a fierce, unrelenting champion for our young people, leading the charge against summer hunger with the Summer Meals Reach Act and fighting to ensure working families can access high-quality childcare. Most notably today, he is the co-lead of the transformative Summer for All Act, a bold vision, as you've heard, to deliver $4 billion in free summer camp, nutrition, transportation access for underserved students across America. He's a leader who works tirelessly to build a country, our country, where every single child has a safe, welcoming place to thrive when the school year ends. As a proud citizen of New Jersey, Garden State, I am truly honored to introduce a true champion for America's children, my United States Senator, Amy.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much for that kind introduction, and thank you so much for all the expertise you're lending to it. This is amazing to be in a room full of advocates and champions that understand that when it comes to our kids and all kids here in this country, we have no time to waste, including the summer. You know, these are opportunities. These are times when we can try to make sure that they are getting so much more enrichment and opportunity. You know, I say that as a father. My younger son just turned 9 2 days ago. My older one, 10. I came into Congress with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. And so watching them grow as I've been here in Congress, so often seeing debates and discussions here that feel just out of touch from what I'm hearing from parents, what I'm feeling in my own family when it comes to the needs that are out there. And this is why I wanted to make sure to step up with the incredible Senator Chris Murphy and others to be able to make sure that we're lifting up, you know, this opportunity on so many different fronts. I remember one of the best experiences that I had when it came to summer camps was for a couple of years, I had them coming down here to DC to do the Smithsonian camp down here in DC. It was a chance for me to be able to spend some more time with them while I'm down here during session. And so they're doing the camps and they go to all these different museums. And then one time we were at one of the museums and I said, oh, I wanted to go see this one exhibit at the National History Museum. And my kid's like, no, it's this way, Dad. And I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure it's this way. He's like, no, trust me, it's this way. And he looked at me, he's like, this is my camp. Yeah, and I was so great. Like, I love seeing like how much he just, you know, he was able to just embrace the experiences and felt ownership over that. Felt like he could tell his dad what to do because he had, you know, a greater level of knowledge and comfort in that way. And that type of experience should be available for so many kids, you know, as many as possible. I think back to my own childhood, lots of things that I wanted to do when it came to the summer, but unfortunately I had a lot of times my parents saying, we can't afford that. You know, we can't be able to have those types of experiences. And it's just something where, you know, we see this being something, not just for the enrichment of that child, but we see this being a major driver of some of the widening gap of opportunities that we see for so many kids and so many families around this country. So that's why, you know, I want to make sure that I'm working hand in hand with all of you to make sure that we're standing up to be able to fight. And I particularly feel it's important because there are not that many parents of young kids in the U.S. Senate, and be able to talk personally about this and show that this voice is important for us to be able to lift up, but I can't do it alone, which is why I'm just so grateful for all of you, whether it's about the experiences with camps and making that available, about transportation, about food. I mean, this is something that just is so core to so many of us, just make sure that, you know, our kids are able to do what they want to do and not be hungry. I mean, we're in the richest, most powerful country in the world. This is a choice that we can make to be able to end hunger, to be able to make sure that every child has the ability to be able to live the life that they deserve. So I just want to say, you not just stand here as a United States Senator, but a father to 2 boys. Let's get this done. This is just common sense. Let's get it done. Let's bring this across the finish line. Let's really show where our values are and try to make sure that our kids have the kind of enrichment and opportunities every single month of the year, including the summer. Thanks, everybody. You got a jersey? Oh, yeah. I like this guy. Oh, yeah. Good. And for the rest of you, we have nice property. If you need any recommendations, let me know. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks, Steve.
All right, well, again, I don't know if we're gonna be able to top all that, but do we remember where we were? I think, okay, cool. All right, so we'll pick back up and then I promise, we'll get to food and some schmoozing in a second. So yeah, if you guys wanna finish that, and then I've got one more sort of rapid fire to close us out.
So the question was, how will this funding support the work that we're doing? In the instance of breakthrough, ultimately what this means is all 43 of our sites have wait lists for students. So it would allow us to be able to take students off of the wait list. Additionally, we have double the number of applicants of teaching fellows than we actually have positions. And so by virtue of serving more students, we give more college students opportunities to grow, learn, and expand over the course of the summer. And then we have 21 cities that have requested our presence, and this would allow us to accelerate our growth efforts across those 21 cities. And so the funding would really be able to allow us to do that. And we have had an example of where federal funding has been a game changer for us. So about a quarter of our budget comes from AmeriCorps, and that allows us to be able to pay our teaching fellows a competitive summer stipend and give them the benefit of an education award to either apply to their undergrad or graduate work, and thus making this a really competitive internship opportunity for them. And so, I could make a pretty strong case for how we could utilize the funds, but I would just say the final thought, and Senator can hit on this, but I just want to underscore it, and perhaps I'm preaching to the converted, but this isn't a nice to have, right? Like summer programming isn't a nice to have, it's an imperative. Your analogy, Dr. Bello, really holds, which is like you can't be on a diet for 10 months and take 2 months off and expect to pick up from where you left off. I mean, that's real. And what's at stake are our kids and the future of our country, particularly in a world in which the durable skills, the interpersonal skills are becoming more and more critical and important. And so I just really want to say that this isn't a nice to have, this is a must have for the future of our country.
Do we have anybody else that wants to answer that one? Okay, awesome. Well, I know we're a little over time, but maybe the rapid fire question here is, we're in an interesting political climate right now. There's not a lot moving. Both senators, said this isn't going to happen right now, but it can happen. And so I think for those of us that walk these halls every day on behalf of organizations like yourselves, what Senator Murphy said earlier, this isn't a partisan issue, right? I don't walk into the hundreds of congressional offices that I do per year and have members on one side of the aisle saying, yeah, I don't care about kids, right? And so I think there really is an opportunity to make this issue as nonpartisan as we can. And the data is here, the proof points are here. But again, as a person who represents organizations, I can talk until I'm blue in the face to members of Congress. So I'd actually love to hear from you all in a sort of rapid fire, if you could tell in a few sentences a policymaker, like what is the single thing you want them to know about the importance of the role that community-based organizations that are running these programs and doing this work in communities, what is the one thing you want them to really lead with?
I would say, I think we've got, again, a coalition of the willing in the employer community. But I would say that investing in CBOs, community-based organizations, they're such critical partners in making that connectivity happen. Employers can't do this alone, and we cannot continue to work in silos. So it takes policymakers, it takes community-based organizations, it takes the employer communities, it takes education working together. And without access and connectivity to all of those resources, we will fail, right? And the way to make employers more successful in getting engaged is to know that they're not in this alone, that they have resources and expertise that they can reach out to and partner with to make successful lives for our children moving forward. We just have to access that and know how.
Yeah, I echo that. I think that it's so important for, from the school sector. We can't do it alone. Employment can't do it alone. It is when students see that their community, the people in their community, the community organizations are invested in them, it encourages the students to then come back, right? To come back and give back to their community. And that's how we mend that fabric of our communities, and it's so integral.
Yeah, I would say that the research is there, that Summer Slide is driven not just by income discrepancies, but also by an opportunity discrepancy. And the school administrators we work with across rural America have asked for summer support. We have 120 some sites that we support during the school year, but only 20 of them who we support over the summer. Administrators want these programs. They understand that teachers, their school year teachers need their breaks, and Save the Children can come in to help serve those education needs, or in any other education program provider over the summer. I mean, there is expertise and evidence-based program design behind all of the folks on this panel that would help fill that gap if the funding were provided to make sure children's needs are met.
Amazing.
I would say looking at community-based organizations more broadly than service providers, but in a lot of ways, connectivity, glue within communities. We use the example around working with the employer community, but also families. In the cases of breakthrough families, our team members know cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone, and play a role much more than being able to facilitate strong summer learning, but also helping connect family to other resources beyond what they've received in the course of the summer.
Amazing. Well, you guys are incredibly inspiring. You're doing the work, and the anecdotes that you provide today are things that we will carry forward on behalf of NSLA in our meetings. And I invite all of you to become partners with us in making this bill not just a dream and vision bill, but a reality and law one day. I know it will be a few years long battle, but the truth is these things are possible. This is a decision, right, that can be made by our lawmakers. There is work to be done to make this a nonpartisan issue. We have the proof points, and I just want to take a minute to extend a huge thank you to our panelists today for all the work that you are doing. And with that, we invite you to our reception in this room.
I would do the campaign.
Hey, how goes it?
Ron, I keep forgetting Ron. That's like a hot party.